Hey guys, I am here just to help get you guys started, making sure that you know that your evidence is a really, really essential part of that body paragraph. If you're watching this, the assumption is you've already created a strong claim statement, and you want to make sure that your evidence is going to support that claim statement in a way that's clear for your audience. You have to assume that your audience has never read this story before or knows much about this topic, so you kind of have to spell it out for them. So a quick reminder, we went over this last week, but a poor quotation integration, and again, integration is when you blend your words in with the author's words. You want to make sure that you don't, I used to call this a quote bomb, when you just throw a quote in. So while protecting others, Katniss discovers inner strength and perseverance to overcome the adversities created by her society. Very clear claim statement. We have inner strength, protecting others, and the society adversity. So when I just start talking about Rue here, you guys may or may not have read Hunger Games. Regardless, this is really confusing and going straight from protecting others to Rue's death. Who is me? Well, we can probably assume that's Katniss, but that's too much difficulty to ask your audience to make all those assumptions. You have to spell it out for them. So don't just throw a quote. We need to do something called integrating, which is to add a transitional phrase, a lead in, and then you have your quote. So now we have, for example, right? For example, there's your transitional phrase. After Katniss takes her sister's place in the brutal Hunger Games. Now I'm trying to kind of make sure we are clear that there's an adversity here, right? She allies, all right, others here, with Rue, who is slaughtered early in the games, compelling Katniss to take action. This is what we call a sentence lead-in. You can actually have a complete sentence that gives some background. Background is so important when you're writing these paragraphs about a full novel. You only have one paragraph, so give a little bit of background, not too much. Make it a sentence, but instead of putting a period, put a colon. That's going to integrate your words in with the author's words. Now I have a clear understanding. Okay, Rue's death has forced me to confront my own fury against the cruelty. All right, check your citations. Make sure your period is not here. I know that is how it would be if you wrote your own dialogue, but because you took it from someone else, you want to have their information here, last name, page number. There's no punctuation or, letter P here, just the page number. And then you put the period at the very end. Now, if there was an exclamation point right here or a question mark, you would leave that. That's okay. And you still put a period at the end. All right, so now we need a second piece of evidence. So I have three options here for you. The first one says, in addition, again, if I'm adding more information, obviously this is assuming that, later on we're going to add an analysis here. I just want to make sure you guys focus on evidence first. It's important to get your two pieces of evidence. So I will analyze this. We'll talk about analysis tomorrow. But for the next quote, I want something else strong, and I want something that's not going to simply repeat what I've already stated here, right? You need something with variety, otherwise your paper is just going to feel really repetitive, your paragraph. Option 1 says, in addition, after Rue dies, Katniss realizes, I feel as if I did know Rue, and she'll always be with me. Everything beautiful brings her to mind. If I'm looking for my second piece of evidence, I don't know that I want to use Rue. I already used her once, right? This also, you have to ask yourself, Rue, she'll always be with me. Everything beautiful brings her to mind. Does that really show that she's protecting others and developing inner strength? It's beautiful, but is that really, developing her grit, right? Her ability to push forward despite her adversity. It's more of a memory of Rue, right? So this is not one that I would choose to use. So I'm going to come up here and use the red marker, maybe. And we're going to cross this one off because this is not quite what we want. All right. So the next one says, furthermore, and again, there's a transitional phrase I could use. Furthermore, when Katniss's sister is called to join the brutal Hunger Games, Katniss screams, I volunteer, I gasp, I volunteer as tribute. All right, so this is clearly a great example of Katniss protecting, right? That was my focus, protecting others to overcome adversity. This is a great quote for protection. However, you got to think about this. This says Collins 30. All right. My original quote was Collins 236. So even if this was a good example of Katniss protecting her sister and perhaps being able to, go against her society by choosing to step into the games for her, This could work, but this would need to be the first piece of evidence. I would have to rearrange a little bit. So I'm going to put a question mark right here and just say, okay, this maybe. If it goes first, this would actually have to come first if I were to use this example. And then I could use Rue as my second example. I hope that makes sense. Again, you don't want this to go second because it doesn't make sense, because the whole reason Katniss is in the Hunger Games is because of her sister. So sister first, then Rue. Now let's look at this last option as a potential. In addition, after Rue's death, Katniss decides to trust and heal another victim of the Hunger Games, Peeta. All right, now I have a great lead in here. She's trusting and healing. There's the protection, right? Have my transitional phrase, and now I'm mentioning a different character, Peeta. The idea of actually losing Peeta hit me again. I realized how much I didn't want him to die. And it's not just that I don't want to be alone, it's him. So if you feel like you could talk about, all right, Peeta and how she's protecting Peeta and how Peeta allows her to move forward, her relationship with Peeta allows her to have inner strength. She doesn't want him to die, and it's more than just wanting to not, be alone. She is finding strength in this relationship. If you can analyze that and really talk about that in relation to this claim, go for it. So this one could work. All right, and this one would work well as the second piece of evidence, because if you notice Collins 297, this comes after this quote. Okay, so Rue dies and then she's able to work with Peeta. So kind of keep that in mind as you are organizing your evidence. So I just want you to focus on evidence today. I want to make sure that you have two strong pieces, and then it's going to be easier for you to go back and analyze those pieces once you have two clear focus points. All right, let me know if you have any questions as time goes on. Thanks, guys. You got this.